YouTube fan, what's going on, man? Double tap that screen, double tap that screen. Be back in the building. I'm waiting on my whole gang, all my mods. Tap in, tap in, tap in. We're about to get it right now. Smash that like button. We need your likes. Let's get them likes up. Let me get this over to Twitter. And we're going to start this up just like this. Double tap that screen when y'all get into the live. Please. Double tap, double tap. I appreciate you. Smash that like button, y'all. Let's see where we at. YouTube.
And sending his House colleagues home early for the July 4th recess after Republican hardliners blocked floor activity. What is the problem with the Senate, and why are they so unwilling or unable? Colleagues home early for the July 4th recess. Speaker of the House Mike Johnson sending his House colleagues home early for the July 4th recess after Republican hardliners blocked floor activity. What is the problem with the Senate, and why are they so unwilling or unable to extend and execute President Trump's agenda?
Look, you heard J.D. Vance say it best. It is a defeatist perspective to say, well, the votes aren't there, so we're not going to try. But it's equally the fault of the House. And I actually just messaged the speaker and I said, look, we can't allow them to put a Senate bill on the floor that they're going to use in their re-elections without attaching the Save America Act to it. And I know that the president has been very vocal about this. And I do hope that if it does pass, we're going to try to stop it. We're going to try to attach the Save America to it. But he should actually veto it.
MAGA Mike's speakership has run into the same problem that keeps destroying the Republican Party. Donald Trump's demands are easy to make in front of the camera to sound big and bold, but almost impossible to govern around. Because Johnson tried to move the National Defense Authorization Act, the annual defense policy bill that Congress normally treats as must-pass legislation, tried to attach Trump's Save America Act to it, and the whole thing just collapsed.
So what happened yesterday? What can you tell us about that failed rule vote and the early departure?
Well, Maria, Anna Paulina Luna, and a number of my colleagues tanked the rule in large measure because, as she said, she wants to, attach the Save America Act to every piece of legislation that comes through the House floor. And while I understand the sentiment and certainly support voter ID, support proof of citizenship, the fact is that we have passed it 3 times through the House. We are not the issue. The Senate is, and that really boils down to the Senate rules and the filibuster. And the Democrats are never going to give the votes, which means the only vehicle by which you can actually pass it through the Senate with the filibuster intact is reconciliation. And so I think it's, frankly, self-defeating.
The vote earlier yesterday was supposed to advance the National Defense Authorization Act. This is the annual Pentagon policy package. Historically, it passes with broad bipartisan support, but Johnson and Republican leadership tried to jam Trump's Save America Act into the process. The Save America Act is Trump's election bill that would impose new voting restrictions, including proof of citizenship requirements and other changes that Democrats and voting rights advocates warn could block eligible voters.
This fight over the Save America Act, the president wants to rein in mail-in voting. What's the latest on that?
Yeah, actually, a big decision came out today. In fact, Shannon, a few hours ago, a federal judge blocked the president's executive order on that, declaring it unconstitutional. Yesterday, we saw the U.S.
There it is. Executive order blocked. You're going to see a whole lot more of that, man. Smash that like button, double tap that screen. Let's go. Let's run these likes up. Here we go.
Postmaster General told the Senate he planned to hold back those absentee ballots from states that refused to comply and provide voter rolls or folks that were eligible to receive those absentee ballots. The administration is arguing that this would have curbed voter fraud ahead of the midterms. Democrats said that it was totally unacceptable. We did try to get a response from a White House official today. Haven't heard any.
Give me 30 seconds to change the way you watch the World Cup
Tap
forever.
that screen, y'all.
American
Smash
fans,
that
we
like
know there's
button.
no better feeling than
Stay
actually
right
having
here.
skin
You
in
want
the
to
game.
get the news.
Thing on this just yet.
and already suffered a major issue in federal court with an Obama-era judge blocking it.
In Boston, a federal judge today halted President Trump's executive order, which aimed to regulate mail-in voting and create a federal voter list. In her ruling, Judge Indira Telwani sided with nearly 24 states in finding that, quote, the Constitution does not grant the president any specific powers over elections. Her decision would apply to the November midterms, though the White House plans to appeal.
This plan was supposed to solve an internal Republican fight, but instead it just further cemented the divide. Rule failed 198 to 224. And once again, the Republican Party looked far from a governing party with a majority rule. Countless Republicans joined Democrats to oppose a rule, which sends a brutal message, right? This was not Democrats blocking Mike Johnson. This was Mike Johnson failing to control Republicans. And that's worse for him, right? Because he can't blame Democrats for opposing Trump's voting bill. All it does is show that in his efforts to satisfy Trump to no end by attaching the Save America Act to the defense bill, he failed to govern again. I mean, how many times has this happened under his leadership? And the deeper problem is that Trump's Save America Act is politically toxic and it's procedurally difficult. Despite Trump's wishes, the Senate does not appear to have the votes to pass it as a standalone measure. That's why Republicans keep trying to find ways to attach it to other bills, the Homeland Security bill, with the defense bill. The pattern's clear. Republicans keep trying to staple it to must-pass legislation, but each time they do, they create more chaos. The bill that is supposedly about election integrity is now repeatedly threatening the basic function of Congress. Trump wants Republicans to prioritize his voting bill because his entire political identity, his identity is built around the lie that elections are stolen unless he wins them.
You ever hear the fake news? They say that's an 80-20 issue. No, it's not. It's 99-1. I've been doing politics now for 10 years. Not that long, considering I've won 3 elections. But we did great in the second one. It was a rigged deal.
And this is what Trump does to Republican governance, right? He takes normal legislative work and he turns it into a loyalty test. He takes a defense bill and makes it about his election obsession. He takes a House Speaker and makes him choose between institutional function and MAGA appeasement. And Mike Johnson just keeps choosing MAGA, which results in failure after failure when it comes to the simple act of governing in a majority. The whole thing rests on Trump's obsession with voter fraud, right? Since losing the 2020 election, something in him, it's just broken. Still to this day, he peddles the lies, and his allies have kept inflating claims about non-citizen voting and mail ballot fraud. But when they're asked to
smash that like button, y'all. Smash that like button. We covering what the world is going on right now in the Trump presidency, in our American goddamn habitat. The lies, the truth, the ugly. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel.
Provide substantive evidence. They either run away from the interview or they just shut down entirely.
I think they're really right. That sounds like a period. All right, so can we also now stop pretending that the elections are not secure?
We can stop when they become secure. That's when we can stop doing it.
Where's your evidence that they are not secure?
I think, first of all, the fact that we do not have to show ID is a disgrace. Number 2, I will find you videos, including 2024 in Connecticut, when you have on a security camera one person dumping in mail-in ballots.
I'm not going to watch it. I'm not going to watch your YouTube video.
Of course you don't want to watch it because it goes against your agenda. But if you opened your eyes and saw something that goes against what you believe, you'll see that it is not secure.
But hold on, Emily. Don't tell me to open my eyes.
What about a better argument than, it doesn't happen?
Hold on, Emily.
Hold on, Charles.
Let me just let Emily finish.
One thing for sure, 2 things for certain. If the election, or, if you think something went down with that, I can guarantee you it was when he won.
Or what she was claiming, because you said that there was a video in Connecticut. What's the point of the video?
My point is that mail-in ballots are not secure because they are mishandled.
What's the point?
Hold on. What's the point of the video in Connecticut that you're talking about? What happened in Connecticut?
One person dumped multiple mail-in ballots.
And then what happened? You said it was on video. So was that person charged?
I don't know. I have to
You
follow
don't
up with
know?
that.
You're telling me that there's massive fraud and it's caught on video and you can't tell me whether it was real or not?
We can look into
whether
it.
the person was charged or not?
I really hope he was charged. But how many
here's the
instances
thing.
were not caught on camera?
But hold on.
I didn't have cameras.
Hold on, Emily.
Did I have
we're all
cameras
the
in
way
my
down to
mail-in ballot?
conspiracy.
No.
I'm just saying.
Y'all know good and well what's going on. If there's some fraud going on, we know where it's happening at. And that's going to be with the people that lie. When you got a person that lies about everything, do we got to wonder where the lies are coming from? We know where it's coming from. The same person that says, we're in deep negotiations. We're coming to a deal. They want to make a deal. They really want to make a deal bad. As you could imagine. They ain't made a fucking deal yet.
That you're basically
It is absolutely a conspiracy.
It is a letter. It can be
Listen,
mishandled.
I'm just saying, if you have video evidence,
How about you,
That answer is a
you
joke.
defend the fact that we don't have to show voter ID?
Hold on a
Do you
second.
defend that too?
First of all, that is a ridiculous thing. So, do you believe that actually?
Yeah.
In 50 states, that nobody has to show any
I didn't
ID.
say nobody. Everyone should be required to
What
show
are you saying?
ID.
In which states can you vote and no one knows who you are? You have to show no where you live, nothing. So which
Smash that like button when y'all coming to the live, man. We getting down to it. This is what I do on this channel. True Seekers. Smash that like button. Subscribe.
states are those?
How many New Yorkers said?
I didn't know the answer because you didn't know it.
How many?
I
Should I give you a list of names? Let me post on Instagram. Everyone who didn't show ID in the New York election, come forward. People will come forward.
Here's the thing.
It's a joke.
You're a joke because you didn't answer that question. You tried to go around the corner.
Okay, hold on.
You tried to go around the
Go ahead,
corner.
Ashley.
And the timing of all this just makes it even worse, right? Republicans, they're heading into a politically dangerous midterm election environment. Trump is unpopular. The economy is in a terrible state. The Iran deal is being attacked from both sides of the political spectrum, and courts are blocking main parts of Trump's election agenda, from mail-in ballots and, of course, the recent Supreme Court ruling on birthright citizenship.
Oh dear, what they rule?
Here we go.
As children born in the United States, parents unlawfully or temporarily present are subject to the jurisdiction of the United States and are citizens at birth under the 14th Amendment Citizenship Clause. What's your reaction to that?
Well,
This is real time.
I need to read the opinion, okay? But obviously you could say that's a textualist, originalist view. However, I do think that this has been grossly abused in recent years, okay? And that is the case that was being made by the plaintiffs in the case, and we're very sympathetic to that because it is a serious problem. We have it's become a birthing tourism, they call it, a trend where people will just come and you just come onto the soil and have your child, and then they're able to avail themselves of the welfare state and everything else. It's been abused. It's one of those things that was intended to serve a noble and important purpose and has been thwarted and overused and abused. And so I'm sure that we'll continue to look at that. I mean, I'm sure the conclusion from this opinion is going to be that you got to amend the Constitution to fix that. As we all know, it's a big challenge to amend the Constitution. It's only happened 27 times in our whole nation's history. And the reason is because you got to have 2/3 of both chambers of Congress and 3/4 of the states to ratify. It's usually at least a many years long process and very complicated. We'll see. I'm sure there's going to be lots of discussion about that. I will say I'm very disappointed in that outcome. I think it subjects the country to serious challenges going forward, and we'll have to deal with it as a Congress.
Now, House Republicans, they simply cannot pass a rule for a defense bill because they're fighting over Trump's voting restrictions. That's not exactly the image of a party ready to govern. It's the image of a party preparing to explain why it had all the power and still could not function.
Want to stay plugged in? Become a subscriber to our Substack at MidasPlus.com. You'll get daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, ad-free episodes of our podcast, and more exclusive content only available at MidasPlus.com.
Knocking like the speakers in a race. All gas, no brakes. I was born.
I see in the poll everybody thinks that Trump is going to lose the midterms. If you think Trump is going to lose the midterms, man, go ahead and hit that poll. Hit that poll so we know what's good. Voice your opinion on this live stream. Zay, what's good, Zay? And the list goes on and on. Smash that like
You've
button.
chosen the location. You've checked out their menu. You're wearing your special shirt, shoes, cologne. You are going all out. But deep down, you've got a concern, specifically about performance.
Zay,
down there.
shout out to you,
Our
Zay.
top story tonight is a number, and the number is the price of self-dealing, self-enrichment, and what many reports say is normalized corruption in the Trump White House. That number is $2.2 billion, a staggering amount of money that only because of disclosure rules are we now learning, the reason it's news tonight, that Donald Trump made that not from 4 years of the presidency or a 10-year estimate. That is just in the year 2025 alone, the first year of his second term. And the money is not coming in from, say, passive investments or just what it means to have a pseudo-billionaire president. It is coming in at a far faster clip than anything he did in the first term because of how much time and energy he's spending off the job, not doing the people's business, not doing what he promised to do, not doing the job of the presidency, because he has side jobs and plans and what the kids call a side hustle. He has been moonlighting on a lot of other projects, and they are making a lot of money. And they're not projects that, to be clear, he was making money on before he was in the White House. The crypto schemes, some of the stock trades, and certainly some of the mining deals that we reported on just this week are a product of him being president. So this isn't about, say, if a rich person like Michael Bloomberg became president and continued to make interest on his investments. This is very specifically a crisis for the Trump presidency because it breaks his past vows, it shows the conflicts of interest, and puts a number on the self-dealing and self-enrichment, some of which I can tell you might be legal, and then the question is, should it be? And some of which raises questions of bribery, quid pro quo, constitutional emoluments. All of this is in the new disclosures. And this morning we saw an illustration of how these conflicts of interest work. For example, no other president has taken large foreign contributions or gifts. No other president. And yet, today of all days, we see the maiden flight for Donald Trump on this Air Force One, which was a gift from the government of Qatar. And he is expected to try to find a way to keep the plane you're looking at, because it's a foreign gift, and use it for his institutions, organizations, library, or personal use after leaving office. No one's saying that in this great capitalist country, you can't just go make a lot of money for yourself and do self-enrichment. That's what Wall Street and fortunes are made and lost that way. That's what business is all about. But the public service in office demands something different. And so what we just showed you, Trump contradicting himself, owning himself, if you will, the guy who once said this is a scam, then realized he could make money off it, off his fans, and now he's into it. And that kind of looting or profiteering is not generally acceptable in the American government. Indeed, I will just tell you, some of what he's doing is legal because, as I mentioned, we have these kind of exemptions for the president that are different than other jobs. But if you took the exact same facts I just told you about and applied them to other types of government officials, a judge, a member of Congress, you could literally wind up in jail for doing what is actually publicly reported tonight that Trump is doing. And whether there are others around him who should be investigated is an open question if we had a working DOJ or aggressive subpoena-powered Congress, which we might get after November. We don't know. Some of Trump's crypto profits come from the $500 million linked to a foreign government. In fact, just before the inauguration, in that investment firm tied to the UAE government bought basically half of the Trump crypto firm, making it look like an inauguration-related effort to get to the president, meaning they weren't interested in giving that money away to him unless and until he was about to become president again. Months later, the UAE struck a deal, the Times reports, with the Trump administration over national security objections to export valuable computer chips that power AI. So Trump gets rich. Other people, though, are on the losing end. We can show you a chart. Trump org reaping $2 billion, while investors lost over $2 billion because the things they're selling don't have a lot of value in the real market. Trump also reported over 20,000 stock trades in a whole bunch of investment accounts. That's 24 times the number of transactions previously disclosed. And the question is why, again, as I told you, someone who is supposed to be busy being president, who supposedly has enough money, why are they so actively trading, whether it's through a third party or not? Well, the details don't help Donald Trump's denials that this has nothing to do with being president and that he's not abusing power. Dell got a $10 billion Pentagon contract that became public after Trump bought stock in the company. And Dell has been making a lot of money because of the AI and government relationships they have. But whether someone traded on inside information, like I told you, something that would be illegal and land you in jail if you weren't the president, is the big question. Trump has used his platform to praise companies that he invested in, NVIDIA, Apple, and Microsoft. And then there's $80 million tonight because of these disclosures that we see Trump got by shaking down these major companies that, of course, have to do business with and be regulated by the United States government. Meta, YouTube, news organizations. We've heard about that over time, but in the disclosure you see that all in, he reaped $80 million from that alone, another $200 in profits from his properties. The comparison there would be he's clearly making far more from abusing presidential powers, shaking down companies and suing them, and selling crypto than from the thing that he claims his business empire was built on, being a real estate mogul. Now, I want to show you how we got here, because part of what's happened in the second term is a kind of degradation of even the most basic baseline rules and principles. And in any modern society, there will be things that are done because we agree to do them together, what you might call the social contract. I don't mean to sound naive. And not all of them have to be enforced at the point of a gun or the threat of prosecution. And so when we talk about clean, good government, not holding a second job, not abusing your government powers to just enrich yourself or your family, apart from the laws, that is something that, believe it or not, most presidents have refrained from. And all presidents have refrained from at the scale of Donald Trump. And we can go one better. The first presidency of Donald Trump also refrained from it. So maybe you need a psychologist or a historian to figure out why he is behaving so much worse now, having captured the Republican Party and degraded the Justice Department and all the things that as a news viewer you probably know. But I want to remind you tonight, in 2017, during the period where Trump had won the election, was getting ready to take office, and there were all these unprecedented questions, and he had all his business interests, he did claim then something that he's not doing now and not claiming now. He, at that point, felt the need to say,
tired of the same old dating routine? Join the club. Events and Adventures is a private...
Speaker of the House Mike Johnson sending his House colleagues home early for the July 4th recess after Republican hardliners blocked floor activity. What is the problem with the Senate, and why are they so unwilling or unable to extend and execute President Trump's agenda?
Look, you heard J.D. Vance say it best. It is a defeatist perspective to say, well, the votes aren't there, so we're not going to try. But it's equally the fault of the House. And I actually just messaged the Speaker and I said, look, we can't allow them to put a Senate bill on the floor that they're...
Stay on this video. I'll tell you how the GOP Senate has flipped on Trump again. It's happened again. He has tried repeatedly. It must be about 10, 12 times by now trying to get the SAVE Act through, because he's really trying to save his act. So listen to this whole thing. You'll smile along the way and really enjoy it. Here's the deal. It failed once again on the floor in the last 24 hours, and Republicans are scrambling. Trump is losing his freaking mind. Why does he want this SAVE Act? Because it helps him cheat in the midterms. I'll just cut right to the chase. It helps him cheat, requiring more IDs, limiting more voter limitation, and it's yet another thing that got struck down. He's had one struck down in lower courts for the mail-in ballots. He's got another one with the Supreme.
Notice that, y'all. Struck down. Come on, MAGA, where you at? Come on in here, MAGA. I need to talk to you. MAGA, where the hell is y'all at? Let me put some bait up here, man.
Court struck down, that happened this week. And then he also had this situation. He's trying to create a database with Social Security, but of course, the judges in lower courts struck that down. And I doubt they bring it to the Supreme Court, given the Supreme Court already struck down the other mail-in ballots or the other methods that he's trying to mess around with the midterms. Then what he did, we got another one where he's trying to get the DHS to limit counterterrorism funding going to blue states unless they give up their voters' rolls, which they're not going to do. And it's just writing on the wall. You can see that the lower courts again are going to kick his ass, and it's not going to look good taking it up to the Supreme Court. Supreme Court only handles 1% of cases, only 1%. So 99% of the cases are handled by the lower courts and appeals courts. And what we see in that scenario is this. One, they're not really allowing him to pull scams on the elections, given the post office situation that happened. And two, understand on the lower courts that we do have Trump, Reagan, and both Bush appointed judges who've been siding with us over the last 18 months. According to Letitia James, the attorney generals have been winning across, the Democratic attorney generals have been winning 80%. So what is that? What is the math adding up to? He's losing down here. He's losing the appeals. And understand why he's losing those. They're dotting the I's and crossing the T's. That's why our justice system is slow, but it's definite. Because it's hard for him to appeal when the case has been done correctly. And on their side, they got hundreds of cases that weren't done correctly, that they lost not because of judgments, but because they didn't know how to structure a case. These are the same people who don't know how to basically get a attorney general in New York and in Virginia sworn in. They're having a hard time, a very hard time, and we're loving it. But understand this too, what we're dealing with right now with this SAVE Act is that Senate is not doing it so much to just rebuke Trump. They're doing it because they're trying to also save their act. Basically, Trump has put it where it's you or me, and sure enough, they're like, we choose us for once, and they're trying to save their own money and their own connection and their own career because SAVE Act will kill them with the blue states with the blue wave coming in. They got more money. Let me just be clear about this. They got more money, okay? They got more money, and we lost one in the Supreme Court with J.D. Vance trying to knock down the ability to have, let's just say, versatility in financing campaigns for billionaires. Kind of ironic, given that he got $25 million for his Senate and vice presidential campaign from Peter Thiel, who is now run off to Argentina because he knows he's in trouble. Peter Thiel going to jail if they can catch him. And I'm just saying right now, all of this, I think it's an ironic lineup of events that are happening. And I think it's really interesting to watch the development.
Sign up for Robinhood and get between $5 and $200 in stock.
I just got paid $62,000 for my car accident using nothing but this app on my phone.
I don't know if you can see this clearly, but it's called the Free Case Evil Smart Quiz. And yep, quick, this check is for $62,000 and I'm literally on my way to cash it.
If you've never heard of Free Case Evals, it's quickly becoming one of the largest legal help platforms in the country for car crash victims.
I think what we're going to have to do is begin to see this from another angle. This channel is all about context, what it means. Anybody can do latest news. And what this basically is coming across as is with Trump losing repeatedly in higher courts and losing repeatedly with the legislation, it's repeatedly happened. By the way, can I talk to y'all for a minute? Man, this has been a busy week with the Supreme Court stuff dropping and everything. I am trying to get sleep, but you're hearing the yawning. And every time I open up my voice, it causes me to yawn. So forgive me. I'm okay. I'm just calling it what it is. You know, I want you to understand the bigger things at stake here. With the legislature protecting itself, GOP legislation protecting itself, with the Trump organization continually trying to shove. Excuse me. Trying to shove, and yes, I'm gonna get some rest this weekend, at least try. With the Trump organization trying to shove their agenda up the court's ass, and the court is just spewing it right the fuck back out. Like, no, we're not doing this on the lower ends, and the Supreme Court starting to deny and basically deny him. This is a trifecta of destruction for him. He's in big trouble. Big. And he knows it. And when the mail-in ballots went against him in the Supreme Court, he screamed at Senate even more. Save Act, Save Act. And they're like, yeah, we're trying to save our act. We're not trying to save your act. It's a self, everybody for themselves. You and I got to do for you and I type thing. And it's not working well for him. This is a bad move, a bad blow for him. And it's going to come back on him in a real ugly way. It's going to get him just that much closer as we're going into 2027 to jail, to locked up. You're right. Seriously, the corruption, and particularly the Epstein list, is coming out with a Democratic majority. That's why I said, everybody, show up. Have your plan to go to the polls in November. Because this really, truth be told, we got to vote every 2 years like our life depends on it. Because it does. They're trying to kill all our benefits, and then they're literally trying to kill people. Service members, detainees, deportees, people who are deported, and actual people who are around ICE. Whether it be Keith Porter, Renee Good, or Alex Peretti. This is ridiculous. And what we got to do is keep an eye on this. But this is a win for us when the legislative branch of the Republicans are saying, no, we can't do it. And that's a good sign for us. Hang in there. Watch, binge watch all of my content, particularly the last 7 to 10 videos. I've been on fire. I'm seriously on fire. And you definitely want to see this, okay?
The morning light is turning blue, the feeling is bizarre. The night is almost over, I still don't know where you are. The shadows, yeah, they keep me pretty like a movie star. The daylight makes me feel like Dracula. In the end, I hope it's you and me.
Download TikTok, find everything amazing near you.
Were you recently injured in a car accident? If so, you need to stop now and immediately call an experienced...
Welcome to The Beat. I'm Ari Melber. Our top story tonight is a number, and the number is the price of self-dealing, self-enrichment, and what many reports say is normalized corruption in the Trump White House. That number is $2.2 billion. A staggering amount of money that only...
I got some bombshell stuff to drop. Hey, stay on this video. Great news, Kamala Harris. There's a lot of good stuff coming in that you want to hear. I'm going to break it down here in this call. Do not go anywhere. If you are all about Kamala, put it in the comments. Kamala 2028. Kamala Harris 2028. Harris 2028. It's about to be on, and we're about to have the straight up fight of our lives, but it's going to be on. It is great news, okay? So let's go. First of all, Kamala, she's running. Let's get that out the door right now. I got proof. I'm gonna break it down to you in every single way possible. Before I go there, quick shout out to the family of Denise Ross. She's a member of this YouTube community. She just passed away. She's 61. She was 61 years old. God bless her. And she has been a big supporter of my YouTube channel, of all my social medias, and of the Clarity Group. And I miss her so much. And she just died, and I am just heartbroken. She was the #1 contributor to my group. My group is in the description and on the homepage. It's free. And she's always just been a lovely spirit. And she lives right here in Chicago. We never ever personally met because she just physically wasn't able to get out there. But God bless her. And thank you for being all those great members here on YouTube who support us. Okay, thank you for that moment. Let me get in there. I'm gonna give you the good news. Thank you for your patience. Here's the deal with Kamala. I love you, Denise. Basically, what she's doing is getting ready to position herself to announce in 2027. Here's what I said last year, this very month. Let me take you back, two years back real quick. I joined that campaign to work on Kamala Harris's campaign for free. And I was part of the engagement team, and I had built up 500,000 followers talking about the campaign, talking about all her talking points when all those MAGA motherfuckers was lying on us left and right, lying like a fucking dog on us. Talking about Kamala did this, Kamala did this. Kamala's responsible for Palestine. How is she responsible for Palestine when she ain't the fucking president? She had to support the president, and if you're mad at her for supporting the president, okay. But she's also saying she believed in a two-state solution. And yet they climbed all over her like Trump wasn't the most evil, fucked up dude ever. He banned Palestinians and Muslims overall from coming to America. Then on top of that, he did a whole bunch of shit that she said was going to happen. I joined her in July. The you-know-what was stolen. I'll tell you like that. The you-know-what was stolen. It was stolen, hands down.